All right, let's get to it. Let's get to it. So what we're talking about? It says St. Louis, the climate deal reached last week by the Senate Democrats could reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that American farmers produce by expanding programs to help accumulate carbon in soil, fund climate-focused research, and lower the abundance of methane emissions that come from cows. The bill includes more than $20 billion to improve the agriculture sector's impact on the environment, mostly by expanding the existing U.S. Department of Agriculture programs that help farmers change to better practices. Farmers would be paid to improve the health of their soil, withstand extreme weather, and protect their land. And if the bill is enacted, roughly 370 billion climate and energy spending deal would bring the country closer to cutting greenhouse gas emissions by half in 2030. That is something many scientists say is important that President Joe Biden promised. Senator Joe Manchin, a longtime holdout on climate legislation, endorse measures that would benefit electrical vehicles, renewable energy, and climate-friendly farming. Agriculture is responsible for 11% of the country's climate warming emissions. The funding would expand the program favored by the environmental groups and the agricultural sector, said Ben Thomas, who focuses on agriculture and the environmental defense funds. They are voluntary. They are incentive-based. They give results in terms of implementing conservation practices on working land, said Thomas. It's great to see. Thomas said historically the agricultural sector has not aggressively tackled its contribution to climate change, but that hesitation has shifted in recent years. And more money will accelerate the progress. That's a lot of potential, he said. It is worth taking very, very seriously, Thomas said. Cows belch an enormous amount of methane, and agriculture is responsible for more than 1/3 of human-caused methane emissions, according to the U.S. EPA. This is a way that people's diets, if they are high in meat or dairy, contribute to greenhouse gas buildup. The bill direct funds towards the altering what cows eat to reduce the emission. On farms, soil can hold a sequester carbon if it is left undistributed and covered by the crop. Money from the bill will expand programs that help farmers turn their soil less, implemented climate-friendly crop rotation practices, and plant cover crops that aren't for harvest but improve the soil health. The historic funding validates the fact that the practices are important, said Ron G., the agricultural climate policy specialist in the environmental of Earth Justice. Cover crops, for example, are only used by a fraction of farmers if their use were tripled from around 5% of cropland to 15%. It could remove the equivalent of 14 megaton of carbon dioxide per year, roughly total annual emissions of New Hampshire, according to Kevin Carl. The adoption rate is so low, there's a lot of potential for improvement. Federal officials already offer farmers help with a variety of environmentally focused issues, including irrigation, fertilizer use. One program helps conservation easement for agricultural land. Dan Schaefer works in nitrogen research. This is a lot of stuff I don't quite understand. I'm hearing opposition to it. So from what I hear from this article, it will help farmers and it'll help lower the emissions. But there's another aspect of it. There are poor people that actually depend on fossil fuel. So if fossil fuel is reduced too fast without giving a chance to replace or give alternatives, then it's going to affect poor people in